Dan has a background in information modeling, database systems, content clustering, analytics, and technology-assisted review. He broke new ground in e-discovery with his solutions for collection, processing, and review of content from collaborative sites such as wikis, SharePoint systems, and social media sites. Into his software design work, Dan also manages large document repositories for our GGO enterprise clients. Dan oversees forensic investigations of computer systems conducted in GGO's forensics labs in Seattle, San Francisco, and New York. See that he has a really insightful way of communicating technical ideas to less technical audiences, and that serves him really well, as he's often served as an expert witness in matters related to e-discovery technology. Second speaker today is David Horrigan. He's with 451 Research. He's an analyst covering electronic discovery and information governance. His include legal and industry developments as well. An attorney and a longtime legal technology writer, David brings both law firm experience and years of technology writing to his analysis of these growing industries. David advises clients of 451 Research on the rapid changes happening in e-discovery for corporations and law firms, helping them keep pace with regulatory requirements and information management demands. Prior to joining 451, David served as assistant editor and staff reporter at the National Law Journal and as a columnist for Law Technology News, writing the long-running Technology on Trial column. His articles have appeared also in American Lawyer, Corporate Counsel, the New York Law Journal, Washington Examiner, and others, and he's often cited in law reviews and journals of Emory University, Northwestern University, Yale, and others. He also managed e-discovery projects for the international firm Covington and Burling and has advised Brown University on their implementation of e-discovery records and governance policies. That's quite a lineup. Whether your questions today are technical or more in the legal realm, we've got two of the best experts ever who are ready to tackle them. So I'm looking forward to this myself, so let's get started on our presentation. Why is it important we address this topic of technology-assisted review? As we know, and it is often cited in the press, more than 98% of custodian content is now created in digital form, and the digital universe is estimated in 2011 to be at 1.8 trillion gigabytes, or 100 quadrillion files. I don't know if you can even imagine what that volume really means. As we know, when it pertains to e-discovery, keyword search has proven to have known limitations. The number of projects in document review research have revealed. So keyword search still has its place. Technology keeps evolving, and advanced analytics and data mining that are being used to identify patterns in data and support business decision-making, or to understand your interests and preferences on the web, for example. Who hasn't been on a website or in their Gmail account and get suggestions in the borders of what book or restaurant you might like? It seems natural that similar technologies, as they advance, are also well suited to help us glean out the important facts, issues, events, and find the most important documents in an e-discovery matter. So I'm going to start with you. We have probably a mixed audience today, and some of our attendees may have little familiarity with the technology behind technology-assisted review. Can you start by explaining what TAR is?
Sure, we'll give that a shot. But, so the idea behind TAR, and the assisted is the important part of it here, is, you noted, a technology that can help us make sense of the documents or the corpus we're about to address. And the TAR is not new. I've been working with these technologies since I founded 10x 10 years ago. Really, we've had great success with our clients, but there are obviously some pitfalls you kind of have to be aware of as well. Questions I actually get most often with respect to, what is TAR, really boil down to, one, how does it work? Or two, what should we pay attention to And so I think before we proceed with the, what tends to, let's talk a little bit about an analogy that I think helps the problem, and I call it the puzzle analogy. So to understand how things work, consider you have a 5,000-piece puzzle that comes in a box. Right? It's assembled, we'll have a majestic landscape scene with mountains and rivers and trees. Here to start, what we have is a box of jumbled pieces. And now, in essence, to assemble those pieces into a coherent picture. Now, this is just a review process that I'm drawing an analogy to, and the pieces here obviously represent documents. But what's going to take away from this is that each piece is unique in its shape, its color, but ultimately how they interconnect tells us the story. The question becomes, how do we best go about solving this puzzle? Well, one thing we could do is we could just start by pulling pieces out of the box and eyeballing whether they fit together. But I can intuitively, that's not a great strategy for solving the puzzle. It's not a puzzle of this size. And this is where technology from TAR or TAR-type technologies come in to help us. They provide is a different way to organize the pieces into groups so that we can develop a better strategy with ultimately spending less time looking at unrelated pieces. Focusing on the items that are related to each other focuses our attention and gets us through this problem in a quicker manner. Okay? In circumstances, can reduce the total time, in essence, by assisting us in being very focused on how to complete the puzzle. And then time in setup and training, but hopefully what you're gaining back is a reduced effort on the review side, which again, as we all know, is very large as well, in terms of the cost of a review and moving on. Let's talk about the technology specifically. So what I want to point out is two things. There are different technologies that can be used for what people generally call TAR today, but there's that's been happening. Okay? And what it comes to is a decade ago, we would approach this problem by using what was called clustering. Now, this is the equivalent of grouping the pieces together by, say, color. That certainly helped because all the leaves were green, was the grass, and all was blue, but so was the sky. So the thing worked a little bit better, but it didn't really get us where we needed to go. It only so far. Well, we then made a shift to what's called latent semantic analysis. A pretty big jump because it started looking at patterns between documents, not just the simple properties of the words or in analogy the colors. We're looking at how documents and words work and interact with each other. As relevant words start popping out. So a mathematical technique, start looking at, say, colors and edges together. That is a much better correlation with what's relevant. The problem is, in LA, it's just the numbers. And those necessarily translate between matter. So it's not intuitive. It didn't give people insight as to why the system was grouping things. Clustering ended up with not really understanding why it chose those patterns. To that up, the Institute probabilistic latent semantic analysis, which is just PLSA. The great PLSA is it gave a solid statistical foundation, meaning the math behind it much more rigorous. Actually begin to compare apples to apples, if you will. The result pieces started to compare each other were actually related in a pretty meaningful way. Okay? And they made comparisons, which are things like 80% like a mountain, whereas this 20% like a river. Given piece now actually had something human, we could understand how it fit together in various buckets or groups.